In the beginning, finding a partner was a family affair. Courtship, deeply rooted in societal norms and economic necessity, was conducted under the watchful eye of family and community. These formal interactions were designed with marriage in mind, focusing on alliances rather than love. The turn of the 20th century brought seismic shifts to this structured world. Urbanization increased leisure time, and the rise of the youth culture gave birth to dating as we would recognize it. Young couples began to venture out together away from the prying eyes of their families to dance halls, movie theaters, soda fountains. This was the dawn of modern dating, a space for personal choice and romantic love to flourish. The 60s and 70s further fueled the transformation of dating, powered by the sexual revolution and the push for gender equality. Dating became a means for personal expression, freedom, and experimentation. The era challenged and redefined traditional norms around relationships, paving the way for a more diverse and open form of connecting. Yet the most profound revolution was still on the horizon: the digital revolution. The late 20th century introduced personal computers and the internet, setting the stage for a new era in dating. Online dating platforms emerged, breaking down geographical barriers and expanding the possibilities for love and connection. Today, online dating has transformed the landscape of love and partnership. With a swipe, a click, or a message, we have the power to connect with potential partners from around the globe. This digital age of dating offers unprecedented freedom and choice, but it also poses new challenges and questions about the future of relationships. There is a noticeable stigma surrounding individuals, particularly men, who remain single, never married, and childless as they age. Now, society definitely tells us that true happiness and fulfillment comes only through marriage and children. This leads to a weariness towards those who choose a different life path.
I grew up in a little rural town, Maumee, Ohio, outside of Toledo. And it was very white picket fencey. You know, I played every sport. I played baseball and I played soccer and rode my bike around. And we lived on 4 acres. It was kind of country, went to Catholic school. It was good. It was kind of an idyllic type childhood.
In dating, these individuals frequently encounter intrusive questions and judgments that imply either a deficiency or personal failing. The reality is a bit more nuanced. Many individuals intentionally prioritize personal development, career advancement, their passions over traditional family structures. This path commonly leads to lives that are rich and fulfilling in such unique ways. Singles report feeling a sense of freedom, self-discovery, and the ability to contribute to society in meaningful ways.
My dad worked for a company called Owens, Illinois, which was kind of a big industrial manufacturer. In fact, Libby Glass, if you ever take a glass and you look underneath, there's like an L underneath. That was part of OI. And he ran their composite can division, which is like a Pringles can, how it's metal on the top and bottom and cardboard. And we did that until I was like 12 or 13, and then moved outside of Philly. he got a chance to run his own plant in Fairless Hills, PA. And so I went from Ohio to Pennsylvania, and that's where all my formative years got started. I think I was always the kid, like in school, I was the kid that literally never studied but did pretty well on the tests, and which is pretty annoying to my sibling. My brother was a kind of a hard studier, and what can I say? It was always there for me. It's like Good Will Hunting. Now, I was constantly in trouble in school, always talking. I had this time once where I had this big burly math teacher, big guy, big 6'3", 6'4", 250, big boys, big mustache. It's the 80s. And he was great sense of humor. He was an algebra teacher, and I had not done my homework that day. And I was frantically copying off my friend Dina's paper. I'm just like, going over and down. And you know how you can tell something's wrong because everything gets quiet? So I'm kind of doing this, everyone's talking, it's before class started, and I'm realizing everything is dead quiet. And I'm looking down, and I'm looking over at her, and I go, he's right there, isn't he? And she was like, yeah. And I look up, and he was literally just standing right here. And I was like, he's a big dude. So I was kind of like, had this big smile on his face. He was like, why don't you go ahead and put your desk outside today? So he made me, from the back row, you know those desks that have the desk and the seats attached? I had to clank it out of the classroom and put it at the front door for the rest of the class, which was fantastic and very indicative of how I spent a lot of my childhood at school.
There has been a shift in attitudes towards marriage in the United States, with an increasing number of people opting to remain single.
Get closer to you. The ice is melting, I'm fighting, so I'll sing till I'm blue. No, we can't be friends.
Data from the Pew Research Center indicates that the share of U.S. adults who have never been married is rising, reaching a record high as of 2021. Yet another reality exists. Many people, frankly, are puzzled at their single status. They feel both lovable and capable of love. They often ask themselves, why have my past relationships not worked out? And why is dating so hard?
So one of my hobbies in my real fortress of solitude is being in the garage.
The house that we built no longer stands. We no longer have plans. We did what we had to do. Now it's out of our hands.
This was a book that myself and a bunch of other like vintage Porsche people were featured in. Beautiful photography, like the stuff is amazing and iconic. And this was me, and then my car, and then another one where I was walking with my girlfriend, which was in the air, and we were checking out a car, which was kind of cool for this amazing, coffee table book. Pretty awesome to get featured in it, I think. I have a major affinity for vintage Porsches of which there are a few here. This car I built about 15 years ago, and it was a complete basket case, and I brought it back to its current condition. But when my parents passed away, I mixed their ashes into the primer. So they're actually part of this car, which is why I'll never sell this car. This green one isn't quite finished yet. It's one I've been building on my YouTube channel for the last few years. Very excited to get that going in 2024. And then this white one here is a new project where I'm developing this engine for other people that have vintage Porsches and can kind of plug this engine right in. So this is the test mule And it's fantastic. We're having a completely great time. And it's great. I'm having a blast kind of becoming a manufacturer and designing and fabricating a bunch of this stuff. But also to really focus and have my fortress of solitude and my alone time where I can just sit and make things with my hands. And so I spent a lot of time in here. This is sacred space to me. So around 1998, when I was in Boulder, Colorado, I was a drummer. I grew up in an extremely musical family. My mom played piano, my dad played sax, brother's an amazing guitarist. I had 2 cousins on Broadway. My aunt was a professional jazz pianist. So we had, 7-part harmonies in Christmas. It was a really beautiful musical family and house to grow up in. We had jazz playing and, my dad was an amazing sax player. So it was sort of always there. I didn't really officially start playing drums though until I was out of high school. I was in Newark, Delaware. And it was like 1990. And I snuck into a bar and there was a band called Three Swell Joes. That I remember. And their drummer was so good. And I remember when they got off stage, I said, "Do you ever teach lessons?" And it turns out that he was the percussion teacher at the University of Delaware, Tom Palmer. And he said, "Yeah." And I went to a lesson with him and he showed me something that was so cool. And it changed my whole perspective on the drums. And it made me go, "Oh yeah, I totally get this and I want to do this." And I really dug into it. Because I've grown up around music, I was competent from the gates. Like I was a decent drummer right away. Fast forward like 10 years, I was living in Boulder. I went to a music jam, met a couple guys that were great musicians. We said, "Let's start a band." So I did. Started a band called Bambi's Apartment. And we became one of the most popular bands in Boulder and Denver for like 10 years. We played all over the place, some incredible shows. While I was there, because I sort of was known as a decent drummer in the community, I played with a bunch of other musicians, got a chance to play Red Rocks, which was amazing, like musical highlight of my life. Played with a lot of famous people and got to do some very cool things on the drums. So that part of me, which is still so active and such a major part of my personality, is one of the things that when people get to know me and if they have a chance to see me play drums, they go, "Oh, that's where he lives. That's home for him." But while I was living in Boulder, I was a designer. I did web and print design, tons of branding stuff. And I was working for an agency called Mango after working with the Ski Magazine and Skiing Magazine for years in Boulder. And in 2001, I left there to become a freelancer. And that's really the last full-time job I've ever had. That was my last 9 to 5. I did get recruited off the couch in 2005 by a startup tech company. And I lasted a year before I realized I was completely and utterly unemployable at that point. I knew too much. So the tagline of my podcast is job security for the unemployable. And what that means is if you know too much about being an entrepreneur and what it feels like to have time freedom and location freedom and not have to worry about how much PTO you have so you can, experience the birth of your baby and spend 6 weeks with your partner, it's so much better than this weird 9 to 5 thing that we have very specifically in America, because in other countries, they don't have many of the same restrictions we do. They don't put the same emphasis on the lifestyle that you're leading versus you're working. So I realized that wasn't for me. And people have asked me a lot, where would you go now if somebody were to hire you? And I would be like, I don't know what the number would have to be. It would have to be a crazy number to lure me from the lifestyle that I lead right now, because I can get on a plane tonight and go somewhere and not have to worry about it. I get a dog sitter and I don't have to worry about anything else. And to me, that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Okay, so going through his profile, and I'm just going to give a little update on my thoughts around anything he should change or or what is going to work well and why. First off, he says, Michael, he includes a lot of information, full disclosure, about who he is. He says he's a content creator at the Solopreneur Hour right away. You can Google him, which is fantastic. A lot of people like to be able to Google who they are going to meet. First photo right off the bat, I love it. It's clear. It definitely is the person you would meet. However, no smile, and I might want a different photo for the cover. Let's continue on. His bio is really excellent. He talks about being a dog dad, his work. He talks about playing pickleball 4 or 5 times a week, which is accurate and current. He talks about being spontaneous, and he says he likes a little fun, active, sassy woman. In his parameters, he tells everything: his height, 5'8", his religion, his politics. He includes whether or not he's open to kids. He includes relationship status. So he gives full disclosure on who he is, which is important. 2 truths and a lie. I've played at Red Rocks with my band. I've had 10 million downloads of my podcast. I've interviewed Larry King. This is fantastic. I will not tell you and spoil which one is the lie. Second picture, third picture. Wow, great photo. This is exactly who you're meeting. No smile though. Fourth and fifth picture, again, he's in a suit, love it. Another active picture with his whole body, very important. Love it, but no smile. So last picture, he has a hat on. I'm okay with one hat. I'm not okay with sunglasses. I'm glad he didn't have any in there. Again, I would just add one photo with a smile. A lot of people assume that you have really bad teeth if you are not smiling in a photo. And so they might swipe left. And then also, you just look kind of happy. People want to see you happy, not always mysterious. This is a really great profile. He lives in Long Beach. He's from Philadelphia. Again, the thing I love most is full disclosure, and his photos are so accurate to who you would be meeting. And he lets you know who he is so you can feel safe connecting with him. Really well done.
So one of the reasons why I think I missed the prime dating to marriage times of my life, which is for many people, guys especially. I feel like guys come online at about 33, before we realize, people get married, like that's a thing. And I had 2 sick parents in the US healthcare system for 4 years. And it really not only emotionally bankrupted me, but physically bankrupted me. I owned a house in Boulder. I lost my house and cars, and it was just a matter of, mom falls and breaks her hip, needs 24 days of rehab, insurance pays for 10. It's $1,000 a day. And so it was so challenging emotionally. It took me years to fully reset. So my dad died in December of 2006. My mom died just a few months later in 2007. So they were very close together. And it was my dad was, I don't want to say expected, but he had congestive heart failure and it was a long process. He was in hospice. My mom was a huge surprise. That was a phone call on a Sunday that nobody expected to get. The result of that was, because it was so unexpected, I now immediately switched into say yes first, figure out the details later. And another crazy through line of most of the most successful people that I've ever interviewed on my show, they say yes first, they figure out the details later. It literally changed how I live my life. So take the trip, buy the shoes, go on the date, buy the thing you like, because absolutely we have no guarantees for tomorrow. And I had an incident a couple of years ago that was just a fluke accident, but that could have been it for me. I could have been on the planet for 2 minutes longer when I injured myself. Thankfully, I'm still here and still talking about it, but could have easily ended that day. And it would have been such a bummer to think, man, I saved everything for this eventual thing And I'm never going to get a chance to get to that eventual thing. So I say yes first and figure out the details later. So parents passed away 2006, 2007. 2008, I lost my house because it was the housing crisis, the crash. Early 2009, I had this really crazy interaction with a guy who's literally a billionaire. I won't say his name. He'd invited me to his place in Denver. We had a conversation and he said, I think you're an amazing man. Because I was hoping he was going to give me a job or do something. I had no money. I remember borrowing a buddy's car and I scraped up $7 in change to put enough gas to drive down to this billionaire guy's penthouse. And, I'm having lunch with them, and then we go up and he asked for my story. I tell him my story. He said, he goes, I really want to help you. He said, but right now you're a terrible investment. He said, you've had so much chaos in your life over the last few years, you haven't even had a chance to mourn. And this is 100% true. I'm on this guy's couch who I barely know. And it was the first moment that I thought, my dad died. And then, oh yeah, my mom died. And it was like, it hit me, I'm sobbing on this guy's couch. And it was literally the first time I'd even cried about it. It was months later. And at that moment, I always had this vision. I wanted to take my parents to Europe. And I never got a chance to do it. So, I got a little Italian Parmesan cheese shaker. I put their ashes in it. And then I got this little bag as well, which has like a little vial. Some people were questioning like what I had with me because it looks like it's not ashes, but it's ashes. And I had this little picture of them that I took all over Europe. So I spread their ashes everywhere I wanted to take them. I did these little ash ceremonies everywhere in Europe. I went to they were on the beaches of Normandy. They're in the Sistine Chapel. And it was this beautiful, cathartic time for me to properly mourn my parents, which I just don't think people do enough. I don't think they give themselves the space to really absorb what just happened. And when I came back I was living in Brussels, and I was on my connecting flight from Brussels to DC, and I had $14. And not like I better go hit the ATM, but I had $14. And when I got back, my brother picked me up from the airport, and I was sitting on his guest bed, and it was as if you've ever seen The Princess Bride, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. But at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, Inigo Montoya gets the six-fingered man who killed his father. And his buddy Wesley says, well, what are you going to do now? And Inigo says, I don't know. I've been in the revenge business my whole life. And that's how I felt working $1 for an hour for my whole life up until then. And I said, I'm never doing that again. So I'm only going to be doing entrepreneurial things and things that serve me and make me feel good. And so if you look at my life, if I told you the 5 things I love to do the most, I do every one of those things on a regular basis and make money with most of them because that's the structure I put in my life. My buddy Mike Sherbakov had this great quote that really affected me in 2017. And it was, don't prioritize your schedule, schedule your priorities. And if you make those priorities, the things that you absolutely do every single day, if you make those things that you love, well, the rest of your day can be a shit sandwich, but you already got to do something that totally feeds your soul. And that is what I try to do every single day. So I go from parents passing away, go to Europe, I come back, starting over again. And if I'm being honest, I got back in probably 2009. I wasn't dateable until 2012 because, first of all, there's a financial aspect to it. I had no money for a couple of years. I had to rebuild from dead scratch as an adult, which is like hard to like confidently date and try to find somebody like that I would consider of value when you're not really showing your value on that end.
When a single individual makes setting up a date appear difficult, as in the scenario where the gentleman suggests an alternative coffee shop instead of simply agreeing to the one proposed, it could be indicative of several underlying dynamics or personal tendencies. The individual may have a strong preference for being in control of making decisions, even in relatively minor matters like a choice of venue. This could be a personality trait where the person feels more comfortable in familiar settings, or simply wants to assert their preferences in planning interactions.
So I love a somewhat casual meetup for a first date. Maybe not coffee. I think drinks are always more fun than just drinking coffee. I love splitting a bottle of wine. It's one of the weird things that came out of COVID was people would just come over and we'd split a bottle of wine. It was like, oh, what a great, perfect date. Now I know it's a little weird and everybody watches true crime and everybody thinks everybody's a murderer, but it was a very nice kind of easy way to get to know somebody. But so I like that a lot. Going to a happy hour somewhere is really good. Dog beach would be kind of fun. But yeah, I think something a little more cash, just to see if there's any chemistry whatsoever between us. And then if so, yeah, for sure, doing something a little more fancy.
In dating, individuals often test the waters, not just for romantic compatibility, but also for flexibility and responsiveness to each other's suggestions. By proposing a different location, the person might be subtly testing out how open or flexible the other is to new ideas or changes in plans. It could also be a lack of social awareness or understanding of dating etiquettes, where the person does not realize that constantly altering plans might come off as dismissive or disrespectful to the other person's suggestions.
I'm often invited to events, so it's really fun for me to bring a new person to an event and just see how they can handle themselves, because very often I'm called on to sort of do something. I'm either speaking or doing something. So it's cool for me to see if they can handle that on their own and just kind of mingle and, be a little autonomous for a while. So that's kind of cool. That is a somewhat major part of my world, is that I do these kinds of events and you are the plus one. And if that's the case, you'll be on your own a little bit, regardless of my wishes to that. It'd be great if you were right here all the time, but sometimes I get called away and have to do things. So it is cool for me to see if somebody can handle that environment and, carry themselves.
When interacting online, people lack the full context of each other's lives, personalities, and social dynamics. This can make it difficult to gauge the sincerity or appropriateness of certain invitations, leading to misunderstandings or misjudgments about intentions.
Dating has changed a lot, I think. Before online, you could meet someone at a bar or a restaurant or at the park or at the golf course. And now people aren't willing to put themselves out there and ask questions. They only want to do it through the online portal. The change I would make to online dating maybe would be that you start with a video call or something like that. Or, within the first 5 interactions, there's a video call. So you can see someone's energy and you can't, it's hard to see any of that through a text message.
On a more positive note, the suggestion could stem from a genuine enthusiasm about sharing a favorite place or experience with someone new.
Yeah, my perception of online dating has changed a little bit since when it started till like today. In that people that I knew kind of thought it was like a weird thing to do. My mom was like, "Oh, you're meeting people online? Like, does that make sense? Are you sure? You don't even know them." And then I think there's some people that I met initially in the early stages of online dating where they were like, "Oh, we'll lie about how we met and we'll make up some story." And I think that's probably pretty different now. I think people generally accept that it's normal to go on online dating, and their friends are doing it, and their friends have got married. My friend Evan, I went to his wedding actually on Saturday, and him and his wife met through online dating. So.
Person might believe that the alternative offers a better atmosphere or experience and could enhance their time together. In today's world, individuals are often overwhelmed with choices in every aspect of their life, from what to eat, wear, watch. This constant decision-making can lead to decision fatigue, where even the simplest decisions, like planning a date, can seem daunting. Keep it as simple as possible. Okay, so let's see how his conversation style goes. I gave him a new opener to use. It does seem to be working. Wait. See what he's doing here? Oh, I know what's going wrong. Let's move on to the next match. I'll reserve my thoughts until the end. Nice opener. Great banter. And he does it again. Okay, that's all I need to see. So basically, Michael is on 3 dating apps, and he has about 6 to 8 conversations on each app. And it is too many conversations going at once to turn into phone calls or in-person dates effectively. He's very liberal in his swiping, and he likes almost everyone, which is actually presenting a problem and working against him. I think Michael should focus on meeting 6 women a year and making sure that those women have the most potential to turn into a relationship. So in that scenario, he would have to narrow down his search. This approach will definitely lower the frustration of dating and hopefully introduce him to his special someone. One challenge with online dating is how it can prematurely force intimacy before actually meeting in person. Many people will try to build a sense of connection through playfulness or witty messaging to lure out the other's personality. However, this approach can backfire if the other person isn't keen on connecting digitally, or it might set up expectations that simply don't hold up in person. A more effective strategy is going to be to move toward the meeting in person as quickly as possible.
So my perception of dating has changed over the years with online dating because it's just a lot different. I feel like people really rely on online dating. People don't put themselves out there as much and just, introduce themselves or say hi, when you're out and about. Pretty much every relationship that I've had over the last several years has started with online dating. Some of the biggest challenges that I face with online dating is really just time. There's so many possibilities with online dating. So it's hard to decide, who you're going to make the time to go out and meet, and really kind of be able to sift through who's genuine on their profiles, if they really mean what they say, who's better at representing themselves and is maybe a little bit better of a salesperson versus someone who's like a genuine, wonderful person that you want to go out and meet. So some stereotypical things about dating that I found to be true, it's pretty much everything. I've definitely seen a lot of, people that aren't ready for relationships. I even had a man that I went out with who was still wearing his wedding ring and calling his wife when we were out on our first date. And I was like, oh no. I've had ghosting happen. I've had men that were, made some unwanted advances, we'll say, on the first date. But yeah, I don't know. I think, stereotypes are usually there for a reason. And when you are willing to go on several dates, with different people, you find those things out and you end up seeing them.
In the 80s and 90s, people used to emotionally invest more into dating, even just to get a date. Then when they got one, they anticipated it. It was a rare commodity. There weren't a lot of them, so you looked forward to it. It was usually planned for a Friday night, and there was also no talking in between. Both parties typically wanted a second date because they didn't know when there would be a new potential person, so they cherished the experience a bit more.
can't you hear my call?
I think my first online dating was Yahoo Personals when I was in Boulder. And I remember being so fascinated. I was a tech guy, so I was a web designer and I was sort of already in that world. And to be fair, not having the world's hardest time meeting anybody. I was a drummer and playing around. I had a big community. First ones were fascinating. I remember going on this date and meeting this person that I had only seen their profile online and been like, wow, this is crazy. I was just talking to them and then here they are. So I sort of went through Yahoo Personals and then like Craigslist, men seeking women was a thing. I did very well on that. I had a lot of dates from that. And then, probably Match was the next one. And it was fine. I think because people have I don't want to say a skewed idea, but I do miss dating in the 90s a little, when you could be flawed and, kind of a normal person and meet other people that also admitted to their flaws. And, you can get to know each other and it just felt a little easier. And then when somebody wasn't interested, they would tell you. They wouldn't just ghost you. My person is out there somewhere. I'm going to find her wherever she is. And I hope that some people are open enough to at least have the conversation and be like, well, let's see what chemistry brings up. There's 8 billion people in the world. Maybe we can cross paths with the right one. Because maybe the timing's not right now, but maybe that person, remember we end up in the same state, in the same city in 2 years. And that's why, I'm very open. I say yes first and figure out the details later.
Many people don't know the origins of soulmates, which brings us to the question, should we believe in the one? The concept of the soulmate has enchanted hearts and minds for centuries. But where does this captivating idea originate? And how has it evolved to influence our modern world of online dating? The story starts in ancient Greece with the philosopher Plato. In his work, The Symposium, Plato presents a tale that humans were originally created with 4 arms, 4 legs, and a single head with 2 faces. Fearing these humans and their immense power, Zeus split them into 2, condemning them to spend their lives searching for their other half in order to feel whole again. But the concept of soulmates isn't confined to Western philosophy. In Eastern traditions, the red string of fate, an East Asia belief originating from Chinese mythology, suggests that the gods tie an invisible red cord around the ankles of those destined to meet, regardless of time, place, or circumstances. Similarly, in Hindu mythology, it is believed that soulmates are 2 halves of a single soul, split and sent to Earth to find each other. Through the centuries, the idea of soulmates found its way into the romantic chivalry of medieval Europe. Poets and writers glorified the notion of a destined love, one that was preordained and powerful enough to transcend the trials of life.
I feel like I'm looking for something that absolutely exists because I see it with other people's relationships. Sometimes you meet someone, I go, man, we would probably be great together. I love that you're in the thing. You love each other. It's awesome. And also, this would be great. I've also had situations that I think we've all had where I've been, it's been unrequited love, where I think, man, this would be so good if only she would say yes. Fast forward 5 years, and she's like, yeah, you were right. Yeah, I know I was right. I was right 5 years ago. But then the situation's different and it doesn't work anymore. And you just go, that's happened to me 3 or 4 times. Like where I really feel like there was someone that absolutely could have been my person, but I was convinced of it out of the gates. And I think that everyone should just listen to me. I think that if someone had 5 words to describe me, that passionate would be one of the 5, no matter who came out with it. I think I'm very passionate. for better, for worse. I think I can be, intense on a pickleball court or whatever. I can get very locked into that. But I think when it's directed towards someone I love, then yeah, it can all be amazing. I think I want to be silly and goofy, and then also, grab the back of your head kind of vibe, So I think it's all there. And I think if someone is passionate about what they do, which is necessary for me, I need somebody that has a thing that they love. If somebody can't answer the question, what are your passions? We're not going to be a good fit. Like, I don't want someone who lives their life between 4 and 6. It's just not going to work for me. So I'm able to understand the major swing, but if nothing makes somebody giddy, then they're probably not going to mesh with my energy, I think. So yeah, I consider myself a romantic for sure. I feel like when I'm in a relationship with someone, it's like they're in color and everybody else is in black and white. I can't be around someone who's jealous because I'm on stages all the time, sort of in the public eye a little bit. I have a lot of female friends, but that kind of same team thing is so pervasive to me when I'm out in the world. I'll see something, oh, they'd probably like this, and I'll get it for them, or whatever. I think that it just, let's see. It feels like everything is enhanced when I'm in love and I think about that person. So every little thing I do, if I have an occasion, like yesterday, there was a SpaceX launch and everybody got to see it. I did literally think this would have been so cool to have a bottle of wine with my person and get a chance to go out and see this. It would have been so cool. So I think like that almost all the time. When I'm not with someone, I think, oh, this would have been cool to do. But when I'm with someone, I really can get some blinders on and really, really think of them in all these different situations that feel enhanced when they're in my life. For sure, I'm romantic.
Today, the quest for the soulmate has entered the digital age. Online dating platforms promise to use algorithms and compatibility tests to guide us to our other half. Yet, this modern pursuit of love is rooted in the same ancient desire to find a connection that completes us, reflecting our enduring belief in the power of a destined partnership. The concept of soulmates reminds us that at the heart of the human experience lies the search for a deep, meaningful connection. Whether guided by fate, destiny, or the swipe of a screen, the journey toward finding our soulmate is a testament to the timeless quest for love and companionship.
So what do you believe?
Me? Well, I'm a romantic, so yeah, soulmates. And I was just going to say, about online dating, one of the troubles is that there are so many profiles that we can get stuck in the people who offend us or who aren't what we're looking for, and not put focus on the ones that are saying, hey, I am here and I am ready and I do want to meet you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reality is sometimes you do have to be super, super narrow on your profile because you don't need to meet 50 women that are somewhat of what you're looking for. You just need to meet 5 this year.
Right. That's
that
the thing.
Are really and genuinely invested.
Let me go on 2 or 3 dates a month.
Even that.
It's fine.
Yeah, even less, right? Yeah. I mean, if I were to do your, they have the Spotify, the Wrapped, right? If I were to do your Wrapped last year and you came back and said, I went on 7 dates.
I went on 6 last year.
Perfect. That's a perfect amount. Do you see why I said 7? Because 6 is a perfect amount. We have gotten way out of control with the number of people that we think it takes to meet someone. And now it's like, no, I just need 6 intentional dates with people that have a lot of potential. And then I have to see, well, where was I that year? Was I ready? Or maybe I wasn't in the place where I could connect. And where am I at now? And then I keep on moving forward. And how do I want to date this year? Right? Maybe I want to take a step back. Maybe I want to be pickier.
Yeah.
You know?
The thing is,
and maybe I don't want to get caught up in the negativity that is out there.
Right.
Right?
I feel like, I'm pretty good with going outside my parameters a little bit. And it's very difficult, I would say, to talk yourself into a right swipe, but really easy to talk yourself out of it.
Absolutely.
Just by looking at the profile and going, Like there's plenty, like right here. First picture is amazing.
She's
slightly outside of my age parameters.
But it's a good photo.
Okay.
And it's
good
fun.
Photo. Yeah, looks good. I think the paragraph is really good. As I go through, I'm like, oh, she's athletic.
Scroll back down real quick though. I love that. Happy outdoor girl.
Yeah.
Love traveling to faraway places from tapas in Spain to, I love this.
Yeah.
This is, and then, and she does have a really catchy first photo.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, 52. She's got a graduate degree. She's active. She plays tennis. God, she's got a great body.
Yeah.
Good pictures. I mean,
yeah,
this is a very good profile.
Yeah. So this wouldn't have been sort of in my wheelhouse, but it's like that judge, I'll allow it.
I'll allow it.
I won't swipe on her right now, but if she goes into the consideration pile,
right,
even though she would be outside, because her profile's great.
Her profile's great.
Pictures are good. Energy's good. Vibe is good.
Yep.
Didn't tell me to do something,
right,
which I very much appreciate.
She's cute.
Cute. Let's see.
Oh, that's a great picture.
All right. So this one, out of the gates, fantastic first picture.
Fantastic.
She looks great. She's wearing a sport jacket. Her hair looks beautiful. Beautiful smile. Just very put together. I scroll a little further. She's got a great profile. I'm a single mom by choice to a toddler. I decided to have a baby on my own when my life didn't quite turn out as planned. Okay.
Lovely.
Now I'm dipping my toe into the dating waters with clear intentions to find my one and only. Okay.
Perfect.
Got it. That's not a swipe left if you don't want kids.
Right.
Like that is the way to do this.
It's the way to do it.
Must love Frank Sinatra and blueberry pancakes.
Love
I
it.
make the best.
Love it.
She's already
Brilliant.
painted a picture of Sunday morning.
It's great.
By the way, I do Sinatra Sundays. It's a total thing. So so she got a picture with her kid. Again, super cute picture.
Totally
With
great
her kid.
picture. Her child is not facing the camera. It's a candid photo.
Yeah. The quickest way to my heart is communication. Last time I was dating, a message like, how was your weekend? Hardly led to a connection. Let's talk about what's important, meaningful, and fun. Nailed it again.
Yep.
Beautiful. Third one, a super cute picture of her with her
So
baby's
cute.
first birthday. Energetic, candid.
So cute.
Yeah. Now, one thing I have a little bit of issue, but there's a whole thing on when people are like, well, I've done the work, implying that the bread is fully baked,
Right.
which it never is.
It never is. There's a great quote. I don't know if you've heard this before. It's, we often expect others to be a finished product while we allow ourselves the grace to evolve.
Yeah.
And it hits me every time in dating because that is always what I think of when I see that. I need someone who's done the work. And it's like,
Yeah, right.
what's your version of the work? Yeah.
I think that I would rather see something along the lines of very interested in personal development.
Right.
Or
Right.
something like that.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Right.
Or
We're aligned there.
constant self-improvement.
Right. Is a
reader
sexy or whatever.
However, someone who does the work and continues to do the work is always to always be better than the day before. Again,
Love it.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Empathy, introspection, humility, spiritual, lighthearted.
Love it.
Great.
Brilliant.
And then a beautiful.
So sexy.
Yeah.
And makes her not look like a mom.
Yeah. I'm hoping to use the new Bumble. I'm hoping. So she's giving me some intention without demanding
Yep.
what I do. Which is, so what she says is, I'm hoping you use the new Bumble feature that allows you to comment on a picture or answer before you swipe right. I'd love to know what interests you about me.
So smart.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Versus,
Right.
don't swipe right if you don't have something to
Don't
say.
just say, you know,
Or something.
how are you?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, opening move.
I would completely appreciate if you reach out first. I'd love to know what motivates you to get out of bed in the morning.
Love it.
So
Brilliant. Great
that is-
profile.
That's honestly, and I'm actually just you're seeing me see this for the first time.
Yeah.
This is a hard write.
It is. It's
This
so
is
good.
and again, even a little, a touch older than I have been going with.
Right.
But
it's all good.
But 100% good, 100% right. I'm all about that one. I hope I get to meet her. Yeah.
That was
So-
perfect.
Woke up last night, calling out your name, but I'm the one who's to blame. How many times are my dreams ain't the same? Nightmares of love thrown away. I just want to get to know you again, 'cause I feel like I lost my best friend. My heart's missing its only perfect 10. Whatever happens, I love you till the end. Come back, girl, I want to love you. Come back, girl, I want to hear your heart. Come back, girl, I want to love you. Come back, come back, come back, girl, I want to know you. I'm sorry, I really hurt your heart. I'll spend life trying to prove that. Come back, come back. Couldn't believe you were into me. Jumped out before it got too deep. Chasing a dream when I set you free.